Tervetuloa RTV-ohjelmasarjaan Juhan juttusilla. Minä olen Juha Pennala ja tällä kertaa puhumme englantia. So this time we are speaking English and this speaking with Juha, first time in English, and my quest is Eliška. Welcome, Eliška.
Hello.
Can you yourself tell your family name, please?
Yes, so I'm Eliška Kasprzyk.
Yeah, thank you. So you are little urban shaman here in Finland, Helsinki.
Yeah, I live in Helsinki now for, well, it's a 4th year actually already. And yeah, I had impression it's like 1 year, but it's because of the COVID and everything. So yeah, and little urban shaman, I'm in Helsinki, but also everywhere. I work also online, so it's like, yeah, this is my artistic name, but also a spiritual brand, let's say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We could start something. How did you found that you are little urban shaman? And how it started? Could you start to?
Okay, well, I can say how did I maybe like invented the name, because well, one thing is how did I start to explore shamanism itself. And then the second thing would be how Little Urban Shaman was born, because this was a few years later.
Yeah.
So how did I encounter shamanism and all that? Maybe that would be much more interesting to start with.
Yeah, to start.
And that was because of my studies in Prague. I was studying nonverbal theater, and somehow mime, and shamanism, it somehow connects, because mime, it's like, it comes actually, like the form of the theater of miming things and showing things only in the nonverbal way. It comes from the, old rituals, when basically the shaman embodies, for example, a horse, and he becomes a horse, so he's the mime.
Yeah.
And so there was this connection throughout the studies, and I discovered that sort of a lot of directors, for example, Eugenio Barba or Grotowski, or like Polish physical theater directors, that also is connected, with nonverbal theater. They explored the theater part or the performative part and the shamanistic part. And I was always like, no shamanism, no magic or anything like this, because I was raised Christian, and I have been raised in the Christian community. And like shamanism itself, it sounded like some sort of occultism, like in spirits, it's like ghosts, and I didn't really understand, but I understood innerly what the connection means with the spirit, with God, throughout the movement, and what it means to be a spiritual artist. So this is something I knew, and somehow I have been studying in Cornwall 1 year, dance, and there like a lot of, sensual perception opened to me, and I started to feel things and have dreams of past lives, and it was like very intensive. And I started to hear trees, which I was a little bit before too, because I was writing a lot. So basically I was writing some stuff that I've heard, but it never had like a proper shape. And that was 23 when I was studying in Cornwall, and suddenly I've heard like whole stories and things about me that the stories were speaking about, or the trees were speaking about, and I was like very confused. I thought that I'm a little bit mad, but I continued dancing, and there was books about shamanism coming, and people doing their research about shamanism and art, and all connected. And then I went back to Prague, and there was like a commercial on Facebook from the Foundation for Shamanic Studies for one course, and I didn't want to apply, and I applied. Still, I don't know why. I just applied, and then I went there, and I realized that the shamanic journeying is something I have been doing my whole life, but I didn't know it's called shamanism. This is it. And so I continued studying shamanism, or the journeying, and also the shamanic work, because the Foundation for Shamanic Studies, they have like very good structure to to work in these realms, not just do the journeying, but also you can really go through like very deep initiations and learn like soul retrieval and all sort of like healing modalities that are shamanic, and like it's very, very good method, I think, or methodology. And I went there for 2 years while still studying at the Academy of Performing Arts, and I was researching connection of performative world or being a modern mime or performer and being a priest or a shaman.
Yeah.
And how does it connect? And I was basically working on my master degree with making a performance that was I was making like, you know, shamanic journeys and had vision, and then I did that in the performance. So basically whole scenes were like channeled, and it was like the initiation that I went through, it was in the story. And so it had like such a multiple dimensions of it. And then I wrote about it in the thesis and made also, I was also talking about other shamanistic performers, or that time I called it like shamanistic artists.
Yeah.
And now I perceive it a little bit differently, but that time I really called it shamanism and artists. So how does these things connect? And yeah, basically what I found out, or what I was focusing on, was through the brainwaves, that when you access certain brain frequency, like from alpha to theta, and you are basically conscious in these frequencies, then you are able to connect to these, you know, like inner creative realms and like inner energies, and also go beyond and use it for healing and use it for, well, whatever, divination of the future, or making art. And so basically these two worlds connected through the brain that we have in common.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is how it starts. So I graduated, so I was an artist,
Yeah.
but I was also studying shamanism, and before I was Christian, so I called myself like a spiritual artist, and now I call myself devotional artist, because I realized that my soul is here like a devotee, or it's like on a mission, right? And it's here to transfer all these information and energies and everything through beauty, through creation, through art. So I am an artist, but I do not create from forms that are, but from the devotion to the worlds or the energies that are coming from where my soul comes from. And also, I don't necessarily pick the topics that I'm talking about, because it's more like a download that you can talk about this. And I'm like, yeah, this is what is like aligned with me. So I talk about it, but I always have this connection with the source. And yeah, even now I have basically two professions that doesn't, it's like artist and it's spiritual, but it's separate. But when I work in the spiritual work, for example, as a shaman or an oracle, I have, now I have a program called Life Oracle, so it's mostly online for people, and I just answer topics and questions that they have and channel whatever, even when they do not have like very specific topic, I channel whatever there's for them, even healing or whatever. So, and still I do this artistically, because I sing and I do things with my hands. So this is what I realized, that when you go with the artistic expression to that like very intuitive level, and you connect it with the frequencies that you visit on the shamanic journeys, that basically you are doing already energetic work, but dancing or singing, that it is connected. And this is what I'm now focused on this unification of the physical expression or artistic expression and the actual energetic, architecture, that you are creating something consciously and you are building it in the energy realm through the artistic forms. Yeah. And then it would be nice to well, it is already like happening, but I would now like to research it more, how you could really manifest or create something very, you know, non-spiritual or non-artistic, not just a performance, but for example, I don't know, like a business or something that is actually created from these spiritual basics. Yeah.
Cool. About your soul and where are you coming from? How much you feel and experience that you are Arcturian?
You saw it on my website, right?
Yeah.
Yes. It was actually this way. When I came here to Finland, I didn't know that before. And I actually didn't know anything about, galaxy and all planets and stuff and like people there or nations there. I didn't know anything. I was mostly focused on my art and on spirituality, connection through the source and this. But I actually never like saw even like too much like esoteric books or stuff like that, and I have never been in circles except the shamanic circle, and they do not work with, you know, like galactic federation or Arcturians, or so this was something that I actually tried because I saw some book about how he was called. I'm not sure. Was it Casey or I'm not quite sure. Like the sleeping prophet, that he just slept or was in hypnosis or something, and was giving people messages. And I was thinking, I can do this, so I will just try if it works. So I just lay down and recorded what I'm saying, and I realized that it's like a very deep message for me. And then I could do this for other people. And so I did these, that I've always recorded myself talking while being basically like in that very deep trance-like state. And then I have been rewriting these messages. And one of these things was like, you should already remember who you really are. And there was this like connection to the origin of the soul, to past lives, but that weren't like just like a few hundreds, like a human past lives, but even before I had human soul, like what my spirit actually have been created, where it came from, and like all the genesis. And I made like quite profound shamanic journeys too, to actually trace the origin of me in this universe itself. And I think it's not needed to talk about it too much, too profoundly, because we all have some origin. But one of the things was that the soul itself was created as some sort of like a new experiment on Arcturia. That I'm basically like a sort of a new soul, but I have all the information because it's, let's say, like a newest iPhone, like it has the newest updates. So even though it's not very old, it has tools that the older souls probably doesn't have. So in some things I'm quicker to learn things, even though I do not have the experience. So sometimes I have this sort of not disbalance, but this duality, like the young soul that is experiencing everything for the first time, and it's sort of like not stressful, but it's sort of a little bit stressful in this world. And then the thing that I can connect and have any information at any time, and to connect to the source and to me being actually everything. And then I'm like, but it's fine. Even though I do not have any experience with it, I'm okay. And I can give insights to other people, but I always need to really align with that eternal me, because still like the young age, even of the body and of the soul, sometimes, especially when I was younger, went into, I was completely like overwhelmed with senses and perceptions, because I realized that, you know, when I see somebody or am in some place, I directly like know the atmospheres that are there, but also where there, people, and also like past things, also future things, where it leads, and all these things that usually probably people don't perceive, I perceive at one moment. So it's a little bit like you get overwhelmed. And when I was a child, like since I was like 2, I got these like hysterical attacks or something, because I was like completely, my brain was like in fire. But it was actually because I was perceiving a little bit too much at one time, and people didn't know that yet. So now I was thinking, even now when children are like getting born and they already have this sort of design, then I know probably even what they need. And when I was teaching children, because I was teaching after my studies in the circus, I understood children. I actually felt like home. Like with children, it was so easy because they had the same perception of reality as me. So we were very like homogeneous, or is it a word? Compact crew, and we were creating effortlessly if I wasn't teaching with another adult, because usually that other adult was like having this routine and everything, and it needs to be this, and it was like not doing well for the children or for me, because I have very similar perceptions of reality as the children. So I realized that I'm very comfortable in teaching children, but that also like I need to grow in being with adults too. Yeah. This is so many things.
You do very many things, and as a little urban shaman, what all are you doing nowadays with that title?
Okay, so little urban shaman sings, makes music. So I have some music on YouTube, but so far I didn't do like an album or anything. I used to be in a metal band actually in Prague, and then I left, and I just created just somehow from my soul and somehow from the inside, because it is a little bit different to create from the outside sources or energies, and from the energy in the inside when it needs to basically grow and then manifest into an album, for example. It takes longer. It's a little bit different process. And I decided to do everything from the inside so that it was energetically sustainable for me. And so that also the work itself, the art or the spiritual work, was eternal. Because when you do it from the inside, you do it from that place where it's like timeless. So this was some sort of like inner responsibility towards what I do, like to change my way of creating, because at schools you learn it always, you learn this and that technique, and then you compose it together, you have a performance, but you do not work, you go to a shamanic journey and make a vision of what you should do, and then make the inner healing, and you basically evolve, and then you make the performance, because it is, it's like you need to be changed in order to make something. So it takes longer, but also you become maybe more truthful, because you know what you're speaking about. It's not just something you have created from some forms that already exist, but you are still the same. You are like evolving into being, uni-being. Yeah, this is my word. The question was what Little Urban Shaman does. So that's the music, but it's still like in the form of hobby, let's say. And then I mostly create content on my social medias where I talk some like short channeled things from my soul. I also used to make like educational videos. I'm not doing that much, even though sometimes I just make a video here and there to just transfer what is needed to be said. Sometimes I just read the energies of where we are and give some tips how to physically maybe embody it, or yeah, all sort of stuff. It's just like online creation. And then what is the work itself, and the most important work, is a system that I'm making. So I called it Unibeing. It's already in the App Store in Android. So you can normally like download it.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on it, but it already has one program which is focused on finding your authentic self. So basically finding your core you and connect the soul with the body, but not in the mental level, but really like the soul changes your and develops and evolves your body. So it's different. So your cells are different because of the energy that your soul is actually transferring into your body. Because what I realized that a lot of like spiritual workers, they are working with energy, but they do not consciously have a method, or they do, but it's like an old method. For example, I do Tai Chi, I do Qigong, I do yoga, I do this and that, but it's not really a method from their heart, right? Somebody else's did that. And I think that, well, what I discovered, that when you have a lot of energy, when you build it through these methods, because this is what I have gone through on the training in the Academy of Performing Arts. We had also like martial arts and Tai Chi and yoga every day. So this is something that you need to have in the body, but then it develops into making movements, because you have so much energy that the energy makes the movements, and it makes the poses, it makes things, and it's the energy work already through the body, and you need to develop into that. So basically you need to really have a lot of energy in your body, so that you were like the channel, or like that in shamanistic world it's called like you're the hollow bone, like the empty bone where the spirit goes, where the channel source energy goes, and also your own soul, and it makes things with your body, and then you are saying things differently that you were taught to, and you are dancing differently that you were taught to, because it is the soul doing things through the body. And this is something that people need to physically do. It's not like a mental thing, it's not something you can read in books, it's not something you can learn from videos or from doing, for example, yoga every day. This is like a base, like to have a practice, to have, for example, a yoga practice or anything, but then you need to move into more intuitive and more connected work. And this is something I'm doing. So it is maybe like a level up for like all the spiritual workers, because this is already the connection with the creator in you. Yeah. And this is what this first program is. And I also discovered that when you make the shamanic journeys, you're basically journeying inside of your own brain, right? You are switching on different sort of places in your brain, and then through that you basically create like an energy portal, and you can travel anywhere. But what you are doing first, you are evolving your own brain and your nervous system, so that you could actually do the work in the energy realm properly, and you wouldn't hurt your body, or you wouldn't disconnect from it. So that you would really like implement all the things that the soul experiences on the journey, and it could download it inside of the body, so that it wouldn't be like soul and body and there's like a gap and they do not like see each other even. So I'm just creating the bridge between the spiritual and the physical, so that the information could go from one side to another. And I discovered that when you put certain meditations and activations and shamanic journeys in an order, you're basically making like an architecture or a design in the energy realm, a base that will do certain things. So in this case, you will find your authentic self, because you will feel it in your body. It will just every journey that you make, it will make energy changes, and it's basically like I was drawing just with my pencil, you know, like some pictures or some geometry maybe, and then you have the base and you add colors, but first you have to have the base, and the shamanic journeys in the order makes the base, so that you could then, for example, work on your business or make art or do whatever that you love and that makes you excited about life, that you want to create. So because, you know, people are born as creators, but the educational system doesn't really, you know, like support it. You're then taught to learn from the outside, and this system connects you again with this inner child, playful like child state of mind, also your creative genius, I call it this way, and just these energies that will excite you and make the life a little bit, you know, like you really love it. You just wake up with excitement because you want to create things. And you know how to create it, because I realize that a lot of like spiritual workers, they have the same mentality as normal people. They think life is a little bit hard, that they need to make their routine, and you know, it's a little bit like, why do they struggle when they have all the spiritual tools? And it's sometimes because they aren't connected with their creative, playful self. And sometimes when they are connected with that creative, playful self, they are not connected with the world, and they think they do not have access to the normal world, and that the world is something separate from their work. And this is exactly what I'm doing, like creating the bridge. Yeah. So when somebody, you know, is like very spiritual and they do their work and they are actually happy in their own oasis, but they are not happy in the world, it needs to be connected, because they have information that normal people, well, they would love to hear it, but both sides need to be connected. And you do it basically through evolving their brain, so that because you can't connect it mentally, you need to make the energy connection first. So this program works both for like very spiritual, even creative people, but also completely non-spiritual people that also are in this routine stuck, and you know, also people that, well, they think a little bit like they're replaceable in their work or something, that they just like do not feel this excitement, like I'm so special, I know what I'm doing and what I'm creating, and this is so unique, you know, like you're really not embodying your uniqueness, and it is not strong enough so that it would survive in the world, it would actually create something meaningful. Then these both words get to be connected through the program. And it's like 6-week program, so this is a main thing that I'm doing. Yeah. And then it is a base, and then so I'm providing weekly body meditations, and that is channeling movements and exercises that are connecting energy work and body work. Yeah. And this is also online. And the third thing that I'm offering is live oracle. So this is already when somebody has a little bit, well, more concrete questions or topics, or also what happens when somebody goes through the program, they start to have vivid dreams, they start to, well, experience a world completely differently, and they have questions and they need some guidance. So that is why the live oracle is there. And the last thing is one-on-one sessions, but it is really like the last thing, and maybe even like the most expensive one, because it is the most intensive one. And well, because I have my body basically started to do things like coding, energy coding, that I'm able to completely change energetical structure of the person, so that it was aligned, so that it was in the original geometry of that person. And I do it through movement and also through singing, and also other instruments that I don't have here, but I could do it like with anything basically. It doesn't matter because it's about the focus. When you see the energy structure, then you just change it and just say it, align, and it will, because you know you are the creator of the reality. So when you see something and you say you go there, it will. You don't need like anything else than your focus, but you need to do know what you're doing, and the soul does it. It's not like my mind, because I've never learned it anywhere. My soul knows how to do it, because it's that training and also the design and also the origin of my soul. So basically these things are intuitive. It's really like a channeling, and my soul is already doing that through me so automatically, because it is in my body, that I already have impression that this is my body that is doing this, you know, aligning people. And so this is one-on-one sessions, yeah. And what is also sort of probably important to say, that's why I don't offer one-on-one sessions, like, well, it is like a last option, or not last. I love being with one-on-one clients, but people need to have already a little bit more cultivated energy, so that I could make changes that really will have real effect immediately in their life. So because I like immediate effects in the physical life. So when somebody comes, I'm brokenhearted and I have this and that problem, and I love somebody, but he's with somebody else, and I don't know, I'm with my parents living and I want to live somewhere else. And then after 4 sessions in 4 weeks, so after a month, that person is already with that true love of hers, and moving forward. And suddenly, like these stuck situations, this is probably the most important things, that when something is stuck and you think that this is how it is because we live in such a world, because I was born this way, because constellations, or because whatever, then it's never stuck. For like I come and I just unstuck it, because nothing can be stuck, you know. It's like you just need to untangle it and unwrap it and see, oh, but inside you are actually with this person, you live in the house with that person, and you are creating your own business. This is what you should do. And the person is like, I'm creating my own business, no. And then, oh, actually, yes, thank you for saying me. And then like the clients are like, oh, like dreams that I didn't even know I had are coming true. And this is the important thing, that what you think you want is usually not what you want or what you should want. You should want what you need. And sometimes very often you need things that you don't want to do. So I basically change things so that it was aligned. So physically these things, or people with money problems are coming. So I know that one woman I was working, it was the only person that I really took, and I had her every week until this month. And now she, not just that she's in her power, because she was in like very, very, very difficult situation, and I will not talk about the details, but now she already is experiencing these sort of like synchronicities, like, and somebody actually gave me a work to teach this and that, only what I want, exactly what I wished for, and I have more money for that, and some theater gig actually came, and stuff like that. So basically things are untangling on itself, and this is what should happen. Like, you know that you are in your right expression and in your alignment when things are happening because you wish it for happen, and it starts to happen. If this is not happening, if you need to push, if you need to control it, then you are not in the alignment. You're stuck, and then you need to go to me probably, or to somebody else. Yeah, but so, but because I, go 100% with that person so that he or she actually achieve the result. And I would like to move even with bigger things, like when, like connecting people through love, or making people to have more money or stuff like that. This is still like a basic. I think you can do it even in a bigger scale. Like even politicians needs a little bit more, authentic, or like people that are famous. They also need a little bit more soul-aligned, authentic expression to allow themselves to actually influence people in a way that matters. And I know that, like, I would like to connect with people that actually already have the influence, because they know what it means to do the work in this world. Because when you don't want to put the work inside your own energy, then it will not grow, and it doesn't matter what it is, if it's soul-aligned thing or not soul-aligned thing. You still need to put some energy inside, so you need to have a lot of cultivated energy anyways. It doesn't matter like what purpose it is for. And so I would like to move into bigger things too. So that's why I don't take that much one-on-one clients. And when so, then I would love to also be financially rewarded for the energy that I'm putting into. Because somebody can say, oh, she made a miracle and in a month I had this and that, but it was just 6 hours of her time, so it doesn't cost that much. But you know how much costs a miracle. You can't really like talk about it, about how long I do it, but about what I did and how long it would take the person to actually manifest this on his own. And if it's like it would never happen, or it would happen in 20 years, that means it costs thousands. And that means also, because it's the uniqueness of the energy that you are getting, that you are paying for, and also like the importance of what you are getting. And so these are one-on-ones. I'm taking clients, but I'm choosing, because it means that that person really needs to have a good intention of why he wants to work with me. And that's why I have created a lot of indirect things, how they can connect with me. So the program is the first, because this is something that will develop you even though I'm not there. And then the body meditations, and then the life oracle, it's like half personal, half not. So yeah, I have from like completely non-personal to very personal sessions.
Yeah. Thank you. There was a lot of very, very important things, and really very pleased that you have come here. But actually, time
Yes, I was just
is
thinking, I'm
going
just
to
talking and talking. I told you yesterday that, maybe it will be the opposite thing, that you will have to stop me, because I'm just talking, and sometimes I need a little bit direction, like talk in about this.
We have to maybe continue someday the second part, but now actually this time I maybe just have to thank you to you. This was I'm very pleased that I got you here and told these actually very interesting things, and maybe we continue someday. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for having me.
Yep.
Yes.